Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video. It is going to be my October reading wrap up. I read 8 books in the month of October. The end of October was not a good month for reasons that I will not disclose, but my personal life is just Anyway, I read 8 books this month and actually had a really good reading month in terms of like the actual books I read. I believe all of these books are 4-star or above, so I'm super excited to share my thoughts about them with you guys. And if you're interested in seeing the books that I read throughout the month of October as well as hearing my thoughts on them, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like bookish content like this, I hope you'll consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. It's 7 p.m. at night and I should not be drinking an Alani right now, but alas, here we are. Nothing like caffeine in the evening. Okay, we'll go in order that I read these books. So up first, I have Hooked by Emily McIntyre. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. This is the first book in the Never After series, and it is, so she has a series. The Never After series is like a, not like retelling, but like a reimagining of different fairy tales. And it's like a reimagining in terms of like if the villains won, if you will. So Hooked is a reimagining of Peter Pan, and in this it is dual POV. You are following Hook as well as Wendy, and I'm trying to think of like what I can say without giving away too much. Not like a whole lot. I will say, so this was like the first dark romance that I really have read, and there was a scene in this book where somebody gets their tongue cut out, and I like read it and I was like I don't know if I can read this. But then I kept reading, and I will say the majority of the time that I was reading this, I was thinking it was going to be like a solid 3-star read for me, but then I got like 75% of the way through the book and I was like, okay, like 3.5, and then the end happened, like the ending happened. I was like, okay, this is a 4-star for sure. The spice in this is really good. I will say like the first like half of the book I was like the spice is not like what I'm wanting, but then as we go on in the book I was like, okay, like spice I would give like probably like 4 chili peppers, if you will, out of 5. And I really enjoyed this book. I was super excited to continue on in the series. After finishing this, I went to Barnes & Noble the next day and purchased the next 2 books in this series. And in fact, I'm currently reading Scarred, and I anticipate I will finish that book tonight, which is a Lion King reimagining. This is really good. Especially if you like dark romance, and it's not super like, it's not like it follows the same story of Peter Pan. It's more just like sprinklings of Peter Pan in it. Like some of the names are the same, but it's not like a retelling, if you will. I really enjoyed this book. I do highly recommend that one. It just didn't, like, I didn't leave this book with like a 5-star feeling, and I'm trying to like, maybe there will be a dark romance that's a 5-star feeling, maybe there won't. Like I don't know if it's possible for a dark romance to be like a 5-star, because I feel like, are you going to be left with like, I don't want to say like knowledge of the world, like I don't know what makes a book a 5-star for me really yet, like other than just the feeling. Where am I going with this? I'm rambling. This is a great book, highly recommend it, especially if you like dark romance and if you like Peter Pan. Like I think it's just like a fun, again, reimagining, because it does not follow the same storyline. I'm not good at explaining books, can you tell? Next up, I read My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. This is a rom-com, and this is like exactly what I needed. I rated this 4 out of 5 stars as well, and really, like, this book I feel like doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's really what I loved about it. The spicy scenes in this, I would give this like a 3 out of 5 for spice. But this you're following our two main characters, Miles, I think. Is it Miles? Yes, Miles and Taylor. So Taylor books this, I can't remember if it's like actually referred to as an Airbnb in here or if it's something else, but she books this house, this vacation rental home for her and her brother. And when they arrive at the vacation rental, they find a dead body. Enter Miles, who is like a bounty hunter who is exploring or like examining, investigating the case. And Taylor like tries to like sneak her way into the investigation. She's like listens to all these like true crime podcasts and is like trying to give her opinion to Miles. Miles is super grumpy, but like you get Miles' perspective right away. And I don't want to say it's like almost like insta, but like he's super grumpy on the outside, but like when you're in his brain, he like, it feels like almost like loves Taylor at first sight. It's just like really cutesy. There were moments in this book that like I literally was laughing out loud, rather than like sometimes I'll be reading a book and like I'll acknowledge something as like funny. Like I'm like, oh yeah, like that was funny, but I don't actually like laugh. This book actually had me like laughing at certain moments. Shorter book, really quick read, and truly just what I needed at the moment that I was reading this. So the third book I read in the month of October was The Deal by Elle Kennedy, and I freaking love this. I give this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved everything about this. In this, you are following, is it Hannah and Graham? I feel like I like can't keep my characters straight sometimes, but I believe it's Hannah and Graham. It's Hannah and Garrett, but it's Garrett Graham. So at least I have that somewhat right. This is a hockey romance. It's the first book in the off-campus series. I'm sure you guys have heard about this book. It is like everywhere, so I won't drone on about it. There's fake dating involved. It's just like there's fake dating involved in this, and then obviously they fall in love over time. And I just like, this was just like cutesy with like a good amount of spice to it as well. I would say like, again, maybe like 3 out of 5 on the spice scale, but just like this was exactly what I needed. It was like a fluffier sort of romance, and I loved this. I'm super excited to continue in the series. I'm from Minnesota, I keep saying. We're like the hockey state, so it's like the perfect time for me to be reading about hockey. Okay, and then books 4, 5, and 6 that I read in October. I read the Magnolia Parks series back to back to back, and I am like truly in absolute love, and I literally cannot wait for the next book to come out. So obviously I started with Magnolia Parks, and I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this book, but I was like, okay, I'm not getting like that 5-star feeling. I don't know if this is gonna be like my favorite series of all time, but I liked it. I can see how certain people would not like this because you're following Magnolia and BJ. Obviously they have a very toxic relationship. Again, this book is so widely talked about. I feel like I'm just like a broken record. They have a very toxic relationship. And sometimes like as you're reading about like some of these situations, it's just kind of like, okay, like, are you serious? Like, come on guys. But they truly do have like such a deep rooted love for one another that like, I will say I did not leave this book feeling like I was rooting for the couple per se, but after reading the third book, The Long Way Home, which is the second book in BJ and Magnolia's story, you gain a greater understanding for like why the characters are the way that they are. So after reading this, I'm like, okay, now I am like really rooting for BJ and Magnolia, whereas I wasn't necessarily rooting for them after finishing the first Magnolia Parks book. I don't want to say too much. So the whole book is really, if you like character development and you're someone who like grows super attached to characters, I think you'll really like this series. This is a series that I still like, I think about every single day. And it's almost like you feel like you become friends with the characters in this book. I never want this series to end. It almost feels like I'm like watching a reality show too, like that. It kind of gives me those kind of vibes. I just loved it so much. So like I said, I rated the first book 4 out of 5 stars. The second book is Daisy Hates, and in this book you are following Christian, Daisy, and Daisy's brother Julian. This I rated 5 out of 5 stars, and I will say I think Daisy and Christian are like my favorite couple. Like I love both of them so much, like literally can't get enough of them. And again, I don't feel like I can say too much about this without ruining it. So Daisy and Julian, her brother, they come from a family of gang lords, so they're super in, like, there's just a lot of like crime and things going on. And then Christian also comes from a different like gang lord family, if you will, and it is about Christian and Daisy's relationship. And again, like a super toxic relationship, but like they're just like the cutest and I love them so much and I'm rooting for them, and I truly can't wait for their next book to come out. I felt like the addition of like the gang lord drama was actually like really fun. There's like art heists and stuff that happen in this book, and it just had me wanting to continue reading. Like I didn't want to put this book down, and again, it felt like almost I was watching like a reality TV show, and I still think about this book all the time as well. So then I read The Long Way Home, rated this book 5 out of 5 stars, and truly like I think I liked Long Way Home a little bit more than Daisy Hates. Still loved both of them, but still my favorite couple is Christian and Daisy. Long Way Home, so you gain a greater understanding of like BJ and Magnolia's backstory, kind of why they are the way they are. Lots of frustrating moments throughout this book as well, where you're like, oh my gosh, like Magnolia, are you actually like, you guys are breaking up again? Or like you're like, so many things where you're just like, oh my gosh, the toxicity is like driving me nuts, and like you're rolling your eyes as you're reading it, but also still like rooting for the characters. Julian, Daisy's sister, plays a big part in this book as well, and I just like I loved every moment of this as well. And I don't like, again, I don't know what I can say or not say without spoiling anything. I love this series so much. So happy that I read that. That was a lengthy chunk of pages. But after that, I read Killers of a Certain Age, and this I rated 4 out of 5 stars. This was just like cute. Part of this was told in third person, and I have not read a book told in third person in like, I don't know how long. So that was a bit of an adjustment for me. Like this was just like, it wasn't super memorable, but it was like better than a 3-star for me. I haven't read a lot of like mystery thrillers, so this was like kind of just like a cutesy, I would consider this a cozy mystery slash thriller personally. My camera battery died if I'm like in a slightly different position. Okay, so in this book, you are following 4 recently retired assassins. They are on this cruise ship celebrating their retirement, and one of the assassins discovers that it looks like one of their own, and not like one of the 4 ladies, but like someone from the assassin company that they were, like company isn't the right word, but like the group that they used to work for seems to be trying to kill them. So it follows them. What can I say without ruining this? It follows them trying to like figure out who's after them and like save themselves, if you will. But then you're also getting kind of like the backstory of each of the 4 characters and just their time while working as an assassin for, I forget what they call like the group that they worked for, but it was just like a cute, cozy, like not too serious book, kind of exactly what I needed. There were moments in here where I was like actually laughing as well, but just didn't leave me with like that 5-star feeling. So that was that. And then the 8th and final book that I read in the month of October was Ricochet, the second book in the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This I rated 4 out of 5 stars. It was a shorter book and I liked it. I just didn't love it like I liked the original Addicted, and actually I prefer, I also liked Kiss the Sky because I read that out of order because I'm an idiot, but I like that better than this one as well. This you're kind of getting Lily and Lo's sort of like backstory, and it's done well to get their backstory, and I feel like it's necessary to the rest of what we're going to be getting from them, but it just wasn't. Maybe it's because Lo is not really in this book as much, like interacting with Lily. I don't necessarily want to say why, or does it tell you on the back? Well, it kind of tells you. Okay, so Lo is off at rehab, and then it mostly just follows like Lily and how she's trying to overcome her sex addiction while you're getting like their backstory. And I feel like maybe it's just because like those two aren't interacting as much, but it was a solid 4 out of 5. So that's where we're at with that. I feel like I'm rambling with like while making no sense, but those are the 8 books that I read in the month of October. If you've read any of these books, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. We can chat about it down below. Other than that, if you have any book recommendations, leave them for me in the comments down below. I'm already super excited about my November reads and all the books that I plan to read in November. I'll leave my TBR link down below for my November TBR in case you're interested in checking that out. But other than that, thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel as you always do. I love you so much, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.